One of Biden's picks for the Supreme Court as a nominee is Kentaji Brown Jackson. And by the way, Biden only chose this person based off of their race exclusively and their gender, which is ridiculous, as you can imagine. But either way, she had some very interesting things to say during the hearings, and her statements, especially considering certain child abuse and illegal images that could be seen. And I just wanted to read out a quote that she had put in one of their documents, where it says she was very against stigmatization and ostracism of sexual offenders, which is very strange to say the least, which is why she would be concerned about such a thing, not from a legal standpoint, but from a social standpoint, which is goes against her position as a judge, which is to be impartial towards things that would happen in society. It's to be based in the law, not on social circumstances. Now, I'm just going to read the quote to you. And she had stated during one of the convictions for a registered sex offender, she suggested public policy of law is driven by a climate of fear and hatred and revenge against sex offenders. And the quote goes, "In the current climate of fear, hatred, and revenge associated with the release of convicted sex criminals, courts must be especially attentive to legislative enactments that use public health and safety rhetoric to justify procedures that are, in essence, punishment and detention. Judges should abandon the prevention/punishment analysis that rely on legislative intent, that routinely apply the Kennedy factors, and that assesses the excessiveness of a sex offender statute's punitive effect in favor of a more principled approach to characterization. Although a precise, in brackets, analytical solution is almost impossible to construct, this note suggests that such a principled approach involves assessing the impact of sex offender statuses and deeming the laws punitive to the extent that they operate to deprive sex criminals of a legal right in a manner that primarily has retributive or general deterrent effects." Now, the end of that quote is very interesting. Now, she's concerned about the fact that the punishment for sex offenders would be a massive one at that. So the impact of sex offender statuses in deeming the laws punitive to the extent that they operate to deprive sex criminals of a legal right. That's a very interesting approach to that, which I believe is misplaced. Your approach towards criminals is always towards the innocent, but in the judgment, it should be as severe as necessary as a crime. At least how me and many other people around the world see it, which is the punishment fits the crime, and she seems to not agree with that, which would make her a very strange pick for the Supreme Court, considering her massive effect on that situation would be. And the legal right in a manner that primarily has retributive or general deterrent effects. So, which is to say, the punitive effects of such actions would end up hurting the rights of those accused, which is possible, however unlikely. The law only determines what it is to punish. It does not determine how other people react to that punishment, which is to say that if you're caught with certain illicit materials, or if you are punished for certain actions that you do, then those things are on you, and the law is there to punish you. How you are seen, whether or not you are ostracized, hated, or wanted for revenge, is not necessarily the duty of the state to manage. If she wants to concern herself with such factors, she can become more political in ways that can change the factors at play here. But as a Supreme Court nominee, she cannot go on to affect social changes if it is within her power and her status to work legally. Also, when she was U.S. sentencing in the Sentencing Commission, she advocated for drastic changes in laws and how the law treats sex offenders by eliminating the existing mandatory minimum sentences for child pornography. And here's another quote from her. It says, so the people who are in this for either the collection of such illicit materials or the people who are loners and find status in their participation in the community but would be categorized as non-sexually motivated, how many are we talking about? And what she's meaning by this is that that the people inside of such communities who would collect such illicit materials may not be particularly pedophilic or hebephilic in any way, that they could be participating for other reasons. I find that to be a massive distinction without a difference in this case, considering it's still illegal regardless. And the type of person who would go and try to seek out such materials would be incredibly damaged as an individual. Sex offenders in this country have one of the highest recidivism rates of any crime ever. They have a historically high recidivism case or rate. Nearly 100% of all criminals who are caught for such crimes, such as child abuse, child exploitation, and seeing such illicit materials, they always, nearly always, repeat. Always. And there is no cure for such events, which makes it a very interesting case for her, because she does not see such people who would see such materials as always being of that, which is interesting. However, the type of person who would go and seek out such materials would potentially have to be interested in those materials in order to get to them. Which is to say, she will always give the benefit of the doubt to offenders of such materials. Now, I'm going to go on to read just a little bit more. In this case, the U.S. Sentencing Commission, Judge Jackson said she mistakenly assumed that child pornography offenders are pedophiles, and that she wanted to understand this category of non-pedophiles who obtain child pornography. Now, that's a very troubling view, considering what I had just stated. And if she actually holds through with this, line of logic in her mind, she will end up in a very strong position of being able to uphold certain sentencings that would occur in the United States if given the support to go to the Supreme Court, which would be absolutely disastrous, I believe, for the world at large, considering the recidivism rate is nearly 100% of the time, considering these people are most likely going to offend again, given such small sentences that she would give out. It does not seem to be a good decision for her to be placed as the Supreme Court nominee in any way, shape, or form. It's ridiculous. And if you're interested, you can follow me on Twitter. I also have a GETTR and an Instagram under the same name, JOBXR, on all accounts. On my Twitter account, I actually do have, it's JO_BXR. There you can have updates on the case and any other case that I may be going through at the time. And if you're interested, subscribe and like. And Peace.